Hello ladies and gentlemen, thewierdguy here, and today we're going to talk about the advent of chaos, soul raids, and we're going to talk about it as an event and compare it to the previous soul raid events that we previously had, being Rise of Krypton and Dawn of Apocalypse, and see if it did better or worse. As I said previously, we really have to hold this up to criticism, because previously when they introduced Dawn of Apocalypse, even though it was a good soul raid, we couldn't be too mad about it because it was a new game mod. But now it needs to be better than the previous ones to be worth getting, because as we get new soul raids, we're going to see the older soul raids less and less. So right now, rather than bringing something new and additional to the table, it kind of cuts from the previous content. So yeah, we're going to compare it with the Rise of Krypton and Dawn of Apocalypse, and we're going to see if it improved. We're going to talk about the bosses and sub-bosses, we're going to talk about the artifacts and the fights, we're going to talk about the difficulty and the fairness of it. Okay, so first of all, let's get to the bosses and sub-bosses part. This is the first time we got introduced to the mechanic of immune to crit and lethal. Last already we had immune to crit, and nobody liked that. Literally nobody liked the mechanic of something being immune to crit. And they're like, oh, they liked it so much, let's put some lethal in there. It's not like the lethal attack damage on artifacts was broken until now. Now that we finally fixed it, let's remove that from some of the fights. So yeah, that's one of the worst mechanics that was brought by this specific soul raid. And it literally renders the Batman Ninja team kind of useless, which sucks. And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't mind to see if we would have plenty of choices, like, we got those 6 teams good for this soul raid, and we got those 6 teams good for the other soul raids, but we got 7 teams in the whole damn game that can do a decent job in the soul raid. So, stuff like this, nerfing on purpose in some specific fight, some team, is not gonna do anything. People are still going to use the Batman Ninja team there, but have a shittier time with it. Or maybe throw another team in there, but yeah, still, there's not much of a choice, that's the problem. The main problem with it. So yeah, at the very least, on the release, we didn't have any barrier that would simply stop you from progressing, as we had with the bug on Silver Banshee in the previous raid in Rise of Krypton. So at the very least, that's that. Now, I gotta give it to them, the first 2 tiers, both bosses and sub-bosses, are fairly easy, and I can 100% get behind that, because as I said in my previous videos, when you get new players to the game, this is going to be their first interaction with soul raids. If they're gonna see some shit like the Rise of Krypton Gorilla Grodd in Tier 1, nah boy, they're not gonna touch that game mode again, or are going to be not too much entertained about it. And I really like the first 2 sub-bosses being easy. I think that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. I mean, the bosses, also the sub-bosses are fairly easy. Like, put the difficult and entertaining to fight bosses in the higher tiers. Not saying they did that, but the first 2 sub-bosses are easy, and I can 100% get behind that. Boss Cyborg is kind of lame, to be honest. Like, the difficulty of that fight is not necessarily struggling for your life and trying to make the perfect place, so you at the same time don't die and do the perfect damage. It's more like, he's got a lot of defense, so you might need to reduce that, and he's got a very low damage cap, so your king percentage damage won't do crap there. So yeah, I wouldn't say that's the most entertaining concept to go about something, but okay, let's go with it. Next up, we got Boss Starfire, which is okay as a boss. It's okay as a fight. It's a little bit entertaining. She's got annoying mechanics herself that you need to kind of center your gameplay around. And at the same time, she inflicts constant dot damage on you, so you're on kind of a timer or on kind of a restriction to have perfect gameplay. So I do enjoy that. What I don't enjoy is that she's immune to crit and lethal. Again, that's a dumb mechanic over there. That's a very, very dumb mechanic. Though at the same time, she's not immune to dot at the very least. Damn, I'm wondering if they did put something that's immune to dot, crit, and lethal. That would be annoying. And there we get to Boss Raven. And honestly, Boss Raven is kind of lame. Like, she's literally a copy-paste of Boss Superman in terms of what she does. The only difference is being that she doesn't have armor. Like, she doesn't have maxed out armor, so you don't really need to worry about that, as far as I'm aware at the very least, or if I'm wrong. and she's combo interruptible. So she's going to be less annoying than Rise of Krypton Superman, than Collector of Worlds Superman. So that's the only thing that she's got going for her. Other than that, she's a 100% bland fight punching bag that all she does is reduce your damage in some very annoying and unchallenging ways. Like, it's not about the gameplay when you get in that fight. It's simply about, as you get in that fight, before you have even started that fight, you did a mistake, and that mistake was fighting Boss Raven, because it reduces all your damage. That's yet again unentertaining, but it's easier to get through than it was with Boss Superman in Rise of Krypton, because yet again, she doesn't have such annoying AI. Her AI is easy to deal with and mess around with it, and she's combo interruptible. She's just a punching bag that will take forever to kill, but a punching bag that does not punch back, like the Rise of Krypton Superman did. So yeah, she's less annoying, but still kind of a lame fight. Next up, so overall the bosses were far less entertaining than the Dawn of Apocalypse bosses, but at the same time are far less annoying than the Rise of Krypton bosses. So I will give them that. It's somewhere in the middle with this. Now, in terms of the sub-bosses concepts, I did find a few things interesting. First of all, the Atrocitus fight is interesting as a concept. The Atrocitus fight itself is not a big deal, but the thing with his tornado of blood constantly floating around, it's something that I could see them doing with other hazards and other fights, and I would like to see implemented in the future and maybe taken to another level. So that was interesting. And also, I really did enjoy the Martian Manhunter fight. So the Martian Manhunter fight, first of all, is going to have class changes, but they no longer interrupt the fight, which is great. It's something that nobody wants to see. And at the same time, it's going to be a very annoying character to fight if you played wrong. Like, if you played perfectly, if you played flawlessly, without a mistake, you'll not be able to do anything. You'll be the easiest fights in the whole Soul Raid. But if you do a mistake, he'll tag out your damage dealer, or he'll hold your damage dealer in the fight, or he'll hold your combo builder in the fight, creating a very annoying scenario that's going to piss you off, but at the same time you'll be like, well, it was my mistake at the end of the day. I failed to block that. So I do indeed like that as a concept. Also, a little bit of a challenge is with Boss Black Adam, because yet again, if you played wrong, he's gonna one-shot you with a special. Which is not necessarily the best way to do it, but I guess it's at really something. Yeah, now let's get to the artifacts. So the artifacts that we got now are for the most part weaker than the previous Raid artifacts. Like in the previous Raids, we got the Firebox and the Entropy, which are two very strong artifacts for all the game mods. In the Rise of Krypton, we got a Beta Club and the LexCorp Warsuit. And over here, the best artifacts that we got are Sword of Salvation and Staff of Trigon. And they're indeed solid artifacts, but they are not at the level of Beta Club for most fights at the very least. Yet again, the Staff of Trigon is a very interesting defensive artifact, but it's most likely the best defensive artifact in the game. But the problem is, there's no fight in the game that really needs your characters to be tanky. Or game mode, that doesn't exist. So even though with the Staff of Trigon you would survive far more than you would with the Firebox, I'll still use the Firebox if given the choice, because it gives you the additional mobility, and that's something that can prove useful. And also the Sword of Sin is a pretty interesting artifact and can have some niche uses. Other than that, we got artifacts that for the most part are either copy-paste of the previous artifacts with some tweaked stats, or are simply useless or lesser version of others. Like useless in terms of the Book of Souls, the Candle, and I don't even know the name of that one. It's a small nugget that will give you a little bit of a shield when you block an ability, and it's pretty much a weaker version of Staff of Trigon. They literally copy-pasted an artifact, one with better effects and one with worse effects. But yeah, the artifacts we got here are a little bit disappointing. And talking about disappointing, the free artifacts, in my opinion, is kind of shit. Like, I might be wrong about this one. I might be wrong. Didn't thoroughly tested. By the way, for the record, I do have all the new artifacts. I don't have the shit nuggets. I don't have the shit nugget. The small nugget, that is pretty much a worse version of Staff of Trigon. Let me know in the comments how that's called. But other than that, I have or used to have all the artifacts because I broke some of them. So yeah, the chakra that you get for free, chakra of whatever, that's the name of the artifact, is in my opinion not a good artifact, at the very least for now. I haven't seen it do well in any other game mods, and in this Soul Raids, I mean, if you don't have it at high level, you're not gonna do that much damage. If you have it at high level, then you're not gonna receive enough damage to trigger it. And also something that needs to take damage in order to trigger it's a shit effect from the get-go, from my opinion. But again, this might prove particularly useful as you go higher in the tiers and the bosses start to deal more damage to you, and the effect might kick in. Like, don't get me wrong, when you manage to proc that damage buff, it's going to be a fairly reasonably high damage buff. But again, getting hits to get that done is not something I'm a big fan of, and still I think the Sword of Salvation is a far better damage dealing artifact than that. And on top of all of that, the artifact chest is still not yet to be seen. If you're a new player and you're not aware, there used to be an artifact chest that pretty much had chance for all the artifacts. We got that every single time since actually not every single. We got that with the normal raid artifacts. Then they added on top of that the Dawn of Apocalypse artifacts, and then when we get Rise of Krypton, and now with Chaos, Advent of Chaos, no artifact chest to be seen. So all the artifacts remain either pay to win or try and get that very, very slim chance that you might drop one from the rewards. And talking about the rewards, the thing that they put Raven in the rewards is both good and bad. I mean, overall it's good. It's a good thing. I'd rather have Raven in the rewards than not have Raven in the rewards. Let me put it like that. But again, my main complaint about soul raids is the randomness of the reward. Some people might get a 6-star Arkham Knight Batman and the level 10 Beta Club as rewards, and some other people might get a 6-star Swamp Thing and the level 1 Tech Artifact as a reward on the same fight. And if it was something like normal raids, where you could play on and on again the same soul raids, that would have been fine. I wouldn't have minded it. But the difficulty is going to increase, and that way the rate at which you're getting those rewards is going to get lower and lower, and you're going to get them less often and less often. So that sucks. That really, really sucks. And that's where Raven comes into play. Like, to be honest, everybody will eventually get Raven. There's a 50% chance to get her in higher heroics as far as I'm aware. I think it was a 15. And you'll eventually get her, and you only need to get her once, because after that you will eventually get some shards for her, because there are people who will farm Heroic 7 on and on again. Yeah, they'll farm the last difficulty of Heroic on and on again, and they'll have extra shards for Raven. So you just need to unlock her. So yeah, it's both good and bad. I don't like the fact that it's random. I would have rather preferred some guaranteed shards, like give me fucking 50 shards for the normal, give me 50 more for Heroic 1, and then give me 100 more for like Heroic 2, and there we go, we unlock her. It might take more than it took me to get her from the current system of rewards, if I got lucky, but I don't care. At the very least, I'm fully aware that if I get to that point, I get Raven. So yeah, it's both a good and a bad thing. And overall, the Advent of Chaos Soul Raids, it really depends to what you compare to it. Compared to Dawn of Apocalypse, nah, this sucks. Compared to Rise of Krypton, this is a step in the right direction. Like, if Dawn of Apocalypse did not exist and we just had Rise of Krypton as the first soul raid, and then we had Advent of Chaos, yeah, things are improving, but yeah, they're both far shittier than Dawn of Apocalypse, sadly. And we still need to see some improvement in terms of that. But yeah, this was everything for this video. Let me know down in the comments what you think about those points that I made and about Advent of Chaos soul raids as a whole. Please do like, comment, subscribe, and share if you enjoyed this video. Dislike if you dislike it, maybe hit that bell button, and I will hopefully see you all in the next one. Goodbye!